Hi, I'm Cem Kurosman. I'm the director of publicity at Blue Note Records. I've been here for about 6 years now. I actually began as an intern at Blue Note Records, working for Tom Everett way back when, and knew early on when I was still in college that being a huge jazz fanatic and a musician myself, that Blue Note was the place for me. I had artists that I really believed in, and good people, a great environment, so I knew I wanted to be back there as soon as I got out of school. Studying music industry at Syracuse University, headed right down to New York, kept in touch with my friends at Blue Note, and was able to get into a publicity job as an assistant with J.R. Rich, and that's how it all began, and here I am. I've been a musician as long as I can remember. I started playing the saxophone when I was back in 5th grade, and was very much a music student all the way through school and into college. I was a music major and just knew that music was what I wanted to spend my life being a part of. At school I studied both performance and business, but when I got out, I figured whichever took off first would be the one, and when I got here, this was certainly it. And so just being in such a creative environment as Blue Note and being able to work with some of the greatest musicians on the planet is really what keeps me going. As director of publicity for Blue Note Records, my job is basically to talk to the press, people at newspapers, magazines, TV producers, syndicated radio producers, about our artists, our releases, and try to spread the word about what we're doing here. So my job every day is to talk to these people, tell them about our new CDs, and try to get them to cover as much as they can of what we do. The press department really communicates with everybody here at the record label. Most importantly, our counterparts in the marketing department, such as project managers, and also the sales department. Jazz, being a niche kind of music, doesn't sell a lot on a regular basis, so press, being what we can get for free in magazines, you know, this is coverage based on the merit of the music itself, is essentially what drives jazz music in the marketplace. The more I can keep my sales department informed about what we have happening press-wise, they can use that as ammunition when they're out in the field and talking to retail to try to convince them to have records in the stores. Probably the most important things that I learned along the way is just being a musician myself actually does help day to day in my job, because I'm constantly talking to writers who are also very familiar on an intimate level with jazz music, so I can talk on many different levels with these writers, and also it helps in building relationships with my artists as well. So certainly being a musician has been a great asset for what I'm trying to do now. It certainly helps that I'm passionate about the music that I'm talking about. A good publicist should be able to pitch and talk about whatever they have in front of them, but it certainly makes the job a lot easier when you really believe in what you're trying to sell. So, the assets that are essential to my everyday are just being personable, like creating relationships. I have relationships with writers and editors that go back the entire length of my job. So it's just keeping and maintaining these relationships and being very honest and responsive, and really just believing in what you do. Part of my job as a publicist is also to write quite a bit, press releases and bios on our artists. Writing is always something that I've enjoyed doing, and it's come somewhat easily. Being a musician, I know how to talk about music, and so the two kind of went hand in hand. As a publicist, one thing I'm always searching for with a new artist or with a new project is some sort of a hook. The music that we put out, by and large, is amazing, and musicians are amazing that we work with, but we're always looking for something a little larger to hang bigger pieces on. Just, being a great musician is one thing, but always looking kind of outside, whether that person has performed music with other artists and other genres, what they do away from their musical lives, whether it be just hobbies or, traveling. There's a multitude of ways that you can pitch an artist to a multitude of publications, just depending on all this other information that you have. certainly the job has changed as being a publicist over time. It used to be a job that was done entirely over the phone, so you couldn't be a publicist if you didn't love talking on the phone. A lot of times these days, a lot of your pitching is done by email. I find that certain writers and editors will respond a lot easier and more quickly over email. So sometimes it just comes with learning these people, their preferences, and just how to maintain contact with them. Probably the best advice I could give you, in addition to your schoolwork and studying music and music business, is to get out in the real world and do it. The first and greatest step you can take is to take on an internship in the music industry itself, with a record label, with a management company, a booking agent, a production company, whatever it may be. It's those early steps in getting out there, seeing how the real world works, and making these first contacts and maintaining those contacts is the most important thing that you can do.